Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Bianca bringing you another episode of I Got You, Sis Chronicles. Welcome and welcome back. So last week we talked about the black man's exotic taste. We talked about 50 Cent and his comments, his very ignorant comments, and the importance of loving who you want to love without putting other people down to try to justify your decisions, right? This week, we're going to talk about something more personal for your individual growth and your individual movement, right? We're going to talk about blocking your blessings and how to get out of your own way.
God gives you an opportunity, and what you do with that opportunity is your gift to Him.
Got it.
You understand? When God gives you an opportunity, instead of just dumping on the opportunity, you're supposed to see what it can be. I tell them all the time, God never made not one table.
Yeah, I love this. Do this. This is really.
God never made a chair. In all of His years of being God, He's never made a chair. He's never made a table. He just made a tree. And the rest of it was up to us.
Right.
When God hands you a tree, imagine a table, a chair, imagine a wall in a room, imagine a log cabin, imagine what it can be, imagine what it can be.
Today, I am sipping on a Mimosa. I love to do my mimosas with Prosecco. That's just my thing. And if I want to turn it up a little bit, I add a little bit of vodka. Just kidding, I don't measure, but you know what I'm saying. But anyways, so blocking your own blessings. How many people can say that they have been in their own way? I know for myself, I'm my own worst critic. And you know what they say? They say that if you want to make God laugh, to tell him your plan, right? So I am like the master of plans. I always have a plan. And I don't care if I have to pivot and it's a plan B, C, Z, whatever. I don't care as long as I have a plan. Even if I don't stick to the plan, I have a plan. I have that guideline. So a lot of times I get so stuck in my plan, my idea, what vision I saw for something. And that can limit you. You ever ask God for something and He gave you something way bigger than you could ever imagine? So I'll give y'all an example. When my husband and I were looking for a house, we had a budget for our house. And based on the budget in the area that we wanted to live in, it was only like townhouses and like smaller starter homes that we were qualified for at that time. So I remember we were driving into the neighborhood that we live in now. We were driving into this neighborhood and we were going to look at another house. And I saw the house that we live in now, I saw it. And it had a for sale sign outside. And we stopped and they were saying that, yeah, this for sale sign is out, but it's not actually on the market yet. So I said, okay. So I talked to my realtor. I'm like trying to get her to make it happen so that we can see this house. And I was just like, that's my house. Like that's my house. And I remember going through it when they had the house listed for a price that was about $20,000 over our end-all be-all budget. And my husband, who I love so much because even when I go above and beyond what we discussed, he'd be like, all right, I'm gonna just figure it out. I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna make this happen. But I just kept saying it was my house. And I remember when it appraised $30,000 lower than what they were asking for. And so of course they didn't want to come down and I wasn't going to go up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this house that is a better layout than any other house we had looked at, even the townhomes that we had fallen in love with, this was the better situation. So we ended up coming to a deal and we got the house. Not only did we get the house, we got the house It was cheaper than any other smaller home that we had looked at in the area. And on top of that, we had money left for me to fully furnish almost every room immediately. Like, it was an amazing thing. But just think, in my mind, I saw myself with 2 kids in a townhome that, like I said, was more expensive than this. But God said that, no, you're going to get a house, and you're going to get a house big enough for you to have to grow into it so that you can stay there longer than what you would be able to do in this townhome. God had more in store, and sometimes we just got to let God move. So let's talk about ways that we get in our own way, because that's one. So the one that I just talked about is the fact that we have our own visions, and sometimes God has more in store for us. And if we don't allow him to move, we add a struggle for ourselves, right? So another way that you can get in your own way is looking at other people, right? We looking at what such and such has, and we're like, well, I want that, or, well, I wish my husband did that, or I wish my friends were like that, or, well, I know I don't have a degree, and that's probably why that person's doing better than me and that, or this and that, whatever. Don't do that to yourself. Don't look at anybody else. Stay in your own lane and compete with yourself. I have a saying, like this quote that I love so much. And it says, I refuse to be the same person that I was yesterday. I will learn from my mistakes, make the changes, and keep it moving. That is my life mantra. That is what I focus in on. I compete with myself daily. I set goals for myself daily, and I push towards those goals. My goals are not necessarily based off of anything that anyone else is doing. It is all about my personal growth and development. It is all about pushing myself forward. So with that being said, that is important. It's important to put yourself in your very own lane and push through with that. When you're having those conversations with God, when you're having those conversations with your friends, family, spouse, whomever, speak things into existence for yourself, and don't base it off of what the next person has, because what God has for you is truly and utterly for you. Okay, other ways that we get in our own way, right? We don't think we deserve it. We don't believe that we deserve it. We think because of the decisions that we made in our past. We think because we don't have enough education. We think because we don't have enough money. We think because we don't have the right set of friends. We don't have a significant other. We don't have this and we don't have that. Let me tell you something. God don't need you to have anything because he's got it all. What God has for you is for you. Believe better and know that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. Understand that extra strength that you need, those extra things that you need, God already has it in store for you. Watch your prayers. Watch the prayers that you pray. Instead of asking God for exactly what you need to work this situation out in the way that you have figured it out to be, ask God to work it out in the way that he wants it to be worked out. Because when you follow the will of God, things are a lot easier. When you go against the will of God, there comes the struggle. There comes the distress. Lord, I thank you in advance for the things that you are doing in my life. Lord, I'm grateful for the blessings that you have bestowed upon me, seen and unseen. Lord, I'm weak. I can't see the end of this situation that I'm going through right now. I can't feel what I am supposed to do right now. Order my steps. Allow me to close my eyes and you guide me into the way that I should go. If it isn't your will, Lord, I don't want it. Allow me to be everything that you want me to be. Let me bring my gifts back to you that you have given to me so that I may share it with the world. Let me inspire others. Let me be great for others. As you bring me out of this situation, allow my testimony to be strong enough to bring others out as well. Pray prayers like that. Pray prayers like this. Lord, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for waking me up this morning and starting me on my way. I want to thank you for the activity of my limbs. I want to thank you for my husband, my children, my family, my friends. I want to lift up the people around me and just say thank you. That's it. Don't ask for nothing. Sometimes you got to pray and not ask for nothing. Just say thank you. Just say thank you, because if you had 1,000 tongues, it still wouldn't be enough for all that God has done for you. So just say thank you sometimes. Lord, I thank you. You having a bad day? Lord, I thank you. Lord, I thank you. Change the narrative in your mind to allow God to have his way in you and around you and through you. Another way that we get in our own way is that we've already been through it, right? We have already been through it. So we are anticipating what we believe will happen based off the past, based off of what happened to Susie and JoJo and them. We do that to ourselves. And we begin to obsess. We begin to obsess about the outcome of things. We begin to believe and count ourselves out. I love that song with Mary Mary. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. See, nobody said that it would be easy, and I might sing that for Worship Wednesday later, but nobody said that it was going to be easy. Nobody said that. I don't know who told you that. Well, if it was a real God, then he wouldn't bring you through. What? You're not supposed to go through nothing because you know God? What? Drake? No. Nobody said it was going to be easy. The trials and tribulations that you go through strengthen you, and they prepare you for the very blessings that you're going to have. You see, because if we never went through anything and God gave us everything that we needed, we'd be out acting a fool, right? It's just like with the land of milk and honey. They had went through all the things that they went through, and still they abused the very gift that God gave them for making their way out. When you go through stuff, when you have to struggle, when you know the hustle that you had to put behind the things that you're trying to do in your life, when you finally get the reward, you'd be a fool not to be able to see that you are blessed and highly favored. You'd be a fool not to be able to give back to others because you appreciate what God brought you from, the things that God brought you through. You know what they say? He wouldn't bring me to it if he didn't plan to bring me through it. Sometimes we block our own blessings because we already have it in our minds how things are gonna go. I'm telling you right now, I will have a situation, a problem, something that I'm dealing with, and I will deal with it. I will work through it in the best way that I know how. And I will keep running into a wall and keep running into a wall and like, Lord, why am I going through this right now? Why am I dealing with this right now? And he's like, oh, you want my help now? we got to give it to him in the beginning. We have to give it to him in the beginning. We can't wait. We can't do things with our own devices and then expect God to come clean up our mess. He will. He does. With so much favor, he does. With so much grace, he does. With so much love and peace and joy, he does. But that doesn't mean it's right. How many times we bargain with God? We praying, Lord, if you just get me through this right now, I promise you that I will stop doing that. I will stop doing that. Lord, if you just get me through this right now, I'm pray before I call and gossip about the situation. Lord, if you just like what? We do that. We do that all the time. And that lets God know that we're not ready for the next blessing. God says to turn from your wicked ways. And that means that you are turning away from it, that you are moving away from it and then changing. You're walking in another direction so that whatever it is that you were doing before is no longer even in the vicinity of you and what you're trying to move forward and do. Get out of your own way. Allow yourself to be the very things that you had in your mind, that you had in your prayers, and that God gave you his blessing for. When you find yourself going through the same things over and over, when you look up and you feel like you keep meeting the same friend, the same boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever it is, when you find yourself in the same situations over and over and over and over again, it is because God said you're not ready yet. You haven't learned the lesson. You're not ready yet. If I give you this right now, it's not going to go in the way that it's supposed to go. And when you finally get what you ask God for, because God is that one who will give you exactly what you ask for if you continue to ask for it, but then he's also going to allow you to understand why it wasn't what he wanted you to have at that time, or why that wasn't what you needed at all. He will allow you to have that person that you said that you wanted to be with. He will allow you to have that job that you were asking for, that promotion that you said that you needed. He will allow you to get that car that you said that you needed in order to be able to drive wherever it is that you may go. But he will also allow you to have the trials and tribulations connected to that very thing, because it wasn't your time. It wasn't your thing. It wasn't what he had for you. We must learn the lessons and we must follow and work through the will of God. I don't mean to preach at y'all or anything like that, but I just want you to be encouraged. And I want you to think about things and figure out where it is in your life that you are standing in your very own way. The way that you block your blessings? Thinking about what other people think. Thinking about what other people see. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. Don't worry about that. It's between, like my uncle always sends me, it's between you and God. It's between you and God. What God has for you is for you. And you ain't got to tell nobody about it. You can testify, but a testimony comes after the test. So when you're in the midst of everything, sometimes it's important to stay quiet, because you invite different people into the space. You invite different energy into the space, and they can throw you even more so off track. They can disguise themselves as someone who loves you and supports you and has your back. But all the while, they're in competition with you. All the while, they don't want you to be great. So you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what people do for you. You have to pay attention to what people do when it counts and when it doesn't count. Surround yourself with people that are not like you. Not like you in nature. Because if you want growth, you have to surround yourself with people who want growth as well. If I'm a procrastinator, I don't need to have a bunch of procrastinating friends. You get what I'm saying? I need friends that are on it. I need friends that plan out everything, that might write down everything. I need to surround myself with those people. Because those people are not going to make me feel comfortable sitting in the procrastination. You don't want the yes men around you. Because it's not allowing you to grow. It's not allowing you to be open. Get out of your own way. There is something extremely great that God has in store for you. There is something extremely great that is in the near future for you. And if you just let it be, if you just follow what that voice in your head is telling you to do that you have been ignoring all this time, it will free you so that you may be open for what's coming down. I'll give you one more example. Somebody gives me something. I put my hand out like this and I hold it. Or I can put my hand out like this and I can hold it. If you got your hand like this, you have no more room for anything else that somebody else wanted to give you. Yes, if my hand is out like this and I hold what God has blessed me with like this, somebody else might come through and take it, right? But see, if God has something for me, it cannot be taken from me. So if my hand is open, it's not going to make no difference, because if somebody comes through and takes it, it probably wasn't meant for me to have in the first place. Or maybe I got everything that I needed from it and now they needed more. But either way, if my hand is empty and it's open, I still have room to get more. I still have time to be sown into. You must bloom where you're planted. Plant your feet on solid ground. Pray your prayers. Give God the glory and the thanks in advance. And then allow him to nurture you. Allow him to water you. Allow him to fertilize your soil. Allow him to give you the extra food to strengthen your crop. And oh, when you grow, do not forget the things that you went through to get there. Appreciate the blessings that God has for you and know that there's always more. If you don't hear anything else that I say, remember two things. Remember who you are and whose you are. And what God has for you is for you. All right, I will see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of I Got You, Sis Chronicles. All right, see y'all soon.